Hey, everyone. Bruce and Mike and I go unscripted for the first time. We come up with some random topics and kind of go off on some tangents that I think you're going to dig. Sit back and enjoy episode 14 of the Ministry of Freedom Show. Rolling. All right, this is episode 14 of the Ministry of Freedom Show.
What's the date?
Bruce Collins.
He made him so bad.
Right, we're going to go again.
All right. You would snap it.
Oh, I made my ears ring. This is episode 14 of the Ministry of Freedom Show.
I'm Bruce Collins.
That's
Bruce. Bruce. Okay.
Mike Collins.
I'm a Collins also.
I'm Jim Moats, and apparently it's way too early to be drinking.
It's just seeing.
Man. All right. So
For those of you that don't know Bruce that well, he snow blows his grass.
Now, obviously the drinking thing's a joke, but
Right.
This is not a joke. I walked in this morning to the studio, looked over to my right, and saw a bottle of whiskey. I thought, well, should we talk about this? And seems like Bruce didn't want to, so we moved on.
All right.
So that's where we're at. So today's
Maybe I
going to
should bring it over here.
No.
Oh, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
that particular whiskey doesn't sponsor the show.
That's true. Yeah, we're not. See, we even.
Labelless bottles of water.
Right. Today's episode
If
is
you
brought
own
to
a
you by
water company.
labelless bottles of water.
If you own a water company and you'd like to see your labeled bottles of water here, reach out.
So before we get rolling, I was reminded the other day that it sounds like I'm not asking for enough reviews. I had some constructive criticism from someone in my life.
All right.
And she said, you should say reviews more. So those of you who are listening on Spotify and Apple, we need reviews because that is kind of the key there.
Oh, yeah.
So that's important.
Yep.
And the YouTube stuff, seems like most people are consuming the content on YouTube.
Yep.
Which is cool. So subscribing is super important. I figured out how to go through the metrics, some of them on YouTube, and the percentage of people that view our stuff to subscribers is super low. Like 17%, something like that. So we need to get that up. And I was listening to this. I told you guys I listened to Bedros Keuilian, the Fuel Hunt dude.
Okay.
He's a good dude. And he was saying the same thing. Of course, he's got this huge platform. He's
Crazy
like,
numbers.
it's only like 5% of people are subscribing. I'm like, okay, Bedros has our problem. So yeah, subscribe.
And if people want to leave reviews and they're bad reviews, we're really not interested. If you don't like what you're hearing here today, keep it to yourself. Move along.
Or help us get better.
Send us a private message.
Or not that necessarily.
At this point, they'll be able to visit www.ministryoffreedomshow.com.
Okay.
No. Dang it. www.ministryoffreedom.show.
Show.
The www stuff,
Yeah, you know how to do that.
I don't think that's even a thing anymore, right?
It's made up.
Do people need to type that?
Well, if you just type it in Google will figure it out. But yeah, our subdomain's www for the web.
Subdomains.
Yeah.
And we haven't covered that yet.
That's going to be one of the words for today.
That'd be its whole own show, I'd say.
Will that get voted out?
Probably. Yeah, so please continue to comment, share the show, watch the videos, do all that stuff. The growth is in your guys' hands, and we appreciate it. So this is a scriptless show. Even though I have a piece of paper in front of me, it's just a couple chicken scratches. This isn't a scripted show. What we decided to do was we're each going to come up with a few topics and throw them out there, and then we'll discuss if we agree. So agreeing means 2 out of the 3 of us have to agree to that person's word in order to talk about that topic.
Yeah,
I get to go
do
first.
that. Okay, good.
Oh, okay.
I messed up anyway.
Bruce is going to start. Before that, you know what? I was thinking, how do I throw a Bible scripture on a show like this? Because we've got to have a scripture.
Yes.
Start with it.
That's the gig. So I'm going to start with
Lead it.
Okay, it's Ephesians 5:15. So be careful how you live, be mindful of your steps. Don't run around like idiots as the rest of the world does. Instead, walk as the wise. It's good advice, isn't it?
Yeah, I actually have notes that fall right into that. I'm going to break out my glasses real quick, and then Bruce, we're on your word. But it's funny that one of the notes that I made for today was actually a meme, of course. Whatever, meme. Am I saying that right? You know everything. Meme was actually a meme.
I did have a pen at some point, but I've lost it.
It's so funny that you say that, and this was not. So obviously you can't see this meme, but it says, "Wisdom has been chasing you, but you have always been faster."
Really? I mean, that's kind of cool.
Wisdom has been chasing you, but which is basically a way to say that, to call somebody stupid without really pulling it out. And then the other meme that I also had posted for myself today, the greatest enemy of knowledge is not ignorance. It is the illusion of knowledge.
Yeah, that's good.
So meaning that, somebody that acts like they know what they're doing enough to convince you that they know and giving you bad info is, so anyway, that's
good. It kind of goes hand in hand, doesn't it?
Really crazy.
Yeah. See, it's really not crazy. It's one of those coincidences.
It's a coincidence.
As the non-believers.
Actually called the Dunning-Kruger effect.
Called the what?
I couldn't wait to say this.
What is it?
He gets so angry. It's called the Dunning-Kruger effect.
And is that just because we hang out a little bit, we have similar thoughts and have similar views? And
in 14 episodes of this show, 13 in a couple of minutes, this is the first time I've been legitimately angry. I'm trying to mask it.
He's falling it up.
So it was a couple of scientists. They studied this. It's the cognitive bias in which people with limited competence in a particular domain overestimate their abilities.
Oh, I thought you were talking about our having a moment here.
Oh, so that's really cool. I thought you meant that the fact that we found a quote unquote coincidence was because of some sort of effect because we're buddies.
I knew that no matter what, if I quoted some sort of scientific. But no, that phenomenon is.
Well, I'm glad that somebody who read all this and knows like these big words like you do and broke it down into a simple meme with a simple little thing that average Joes like me and other people could understand.
It's actually the opposite of what my first word was, which is actually 2 words, but imposter syndrome.
Okay. That's actually your first topic?
That was.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically that fits in with all this too.
Yeah.
Dun, dun.
Coincidence.
So you want to talk about imposter syndrome?
Yeah. Well, it was one of them. Yeah.
That's really crazy.
Because the words I'm going to use today are words that we've brought up in previous shows, but I'd like to do a little bit of deep dive.
Let's start there.
Yeah.
So it's your word. You can start. Imposter syndrome. What's it mean to you, and how does it fit into what we're doing?
So it's like I was saying, it's the exact opposite of the Dunning-Kruger effect. So it's when
is it when perhaps you're actually a little more competent than you think, but your disbelief in yourself is keeping you from potential?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
That was really good. And also you believe that you're undeserving. So according to Google, people who struggle with imposter syndrome believe that they are undeserving of their achievements and the high esteem in which they are in fact generally held. Feel that they're not competent or intelligent as others might think. And that describes me to a T.
So I think we all have some of that. I have some of that. Because I'm kind of uneducated and was a car salesman and woke up one day and kind of didn't like, man, did I dumb my way into
like all of us, right?
Right. Walk around, think like, when was that? Like yesterday.
Right.
Thinking, my goodness.
Right. And I always say that the people keep me around at work is not because of what I achieve, it's because of my silliness. It's because they're already smart and they can already do things without me. I'm just kind of like the
class clown.
A little bit. Yeah.
Bruce is funny.
But I'm also not an inhibitor.
We're going over these layoffs. We need this guy. He runs
asset.
this division. He's really good. We need this guy. Oh, Bruce is funny. So
in my head,
that helps with workplace morale. Especially, we're going to need a funny guy since we're laying off 2/3 of our staff. Let's keep him. He's not good for anything other than
let's look at the benefits of having some imposter syndrome, because I think there are. chip on your shoulder type of people, which is me. I think that comes from imposter syndrome. So I've lived my entire life with a chip on my shoulder, especially in the professional world, because I was around, my business partners were different than me. These were the educated people. They've got the degrees. They've been to the fancy schools for the, through the National Auto Dealer Association, and they know the insides and outsides of all the, and they've, haven't been drinkers, and they just haven't had the life I've had. So I've always had a chip on my shoulder being around those dudes of, I'm going to prove them wrong. And they've looked down. They might not realize it. And I don't, not trying to disparage these dudes. Like, I might seem like it, but it's not their fault necessarily, but they do look down upon
Everyone.
other people.
Yeah.
They do. And it's infuriating. And when they reinforce imposter syndrome, sometimes if you don't kind of bow up a little bit to inside, it can beat you down. So I've learned that when that was happening to me, that I kind of bow up myself, so I'm not going to get beat down. It makes me more aggressive. It makes me want to win more. And I've channeled some of that stuff. I was in a meeting one time with one of these dudes, and he says to me, and these actually wound you when you can remember the setting and the tone and exact the words that were spoken. He looked at me from across the table and he says, "Don't forget, I know where you come from."
Right.
I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
And I thought, sitting right there thinking, okay.
Yeah, man. See, I'm no good at that. When I always look at those type of people, I always think that they are at a disadvantage, that they've had like a narrow upbringing, like people that had college and like had the great family life at home. And like, they've never been punched in the nose, probably. They've never punched somebody in the nose. And it don't have to be about violence. It can be about everything. Like, they've never taken this huge risk because they were taught, like, you have the world laid out in front of you, follow this path and don't deviate. Whereas we had to go fall down and pick ourselves up and do all this stuff. We didn't have that. My dad encouraged me to drop out of high school my freshman year. I got in a bunch of trouble. He's like, "Quit, man. School's holding you back." And it wasn't reverse psychology. It was, I quit school when I was in 11th grade. I should have quit when I was in 9th. And here's your opportunity. You could quit now and get to work.
Dude, that's advice like Frank from Shameless would give.
Dude. My dad literally told me that, like, my freshman year. He's like, "Quit, man. Just get out there and get started." He's like, "I quit high school my junior year. I was a foreman for Peter Kiewit Construction when I was 19 years old, telling 50-year-old men what to do. And if I'd have quit my freshman year, I'd have been there faster."
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
no, I want to stay in school.
I would say that you're right, that there are disadvantages to that, to those people.
I've always looked at it that way.
Me too.
People who look down at me, I laugh.
In their certain four walls, in their cocoon that they've created, though,
they believe it.
There is advantage because they believe there's advantage. That's why they're always operating from fear, because they don't want to let anybody else in. And they also walk around with a different kind of chip on their shoulder because they know they don't have grit.
Yeah.
They know that if the freaking EMP hits, people ain't running to their side.
Right.
To be like, "Hey, I got to get with these guys."
Yeah.
Right. Because they've never had to overcome like that. Overcomers are what's attractive. People with the testimony of overcoming.
There's people that will do anything to survive, but there's also people that have already had to do a little bit of anything to survive. Not like the world's coming to an end type, but there are people who've been tested a little bit and people who've had their whole path laid out for them their whole life and they're successful. And if an EMP hit and we lost all our electronics and everything, the world going to hell. Yeah, you don't want a guy that was, I went to college and I had, my parents made sure I studied every night. And
now, if he went to college to study how to make fire,
right, yes.
and how to help us acquire more ammunition,
if he
could load his own rounds, and that was his degree.
If he's like the professor off Gilligan's Island, he can make a phone out of a coconut.
Correct.
We need him.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. So yeah,
and if he can make us laugh, we'll take him
turns
too.
out.
When we're making our team, we'll have. I mean, I think we're pretty entertaining. Bruce, you might not make the cut on our end. You better come up with some skills.
I got none.
Can you juggle?
I actually can.
That isn't true, is it?
It's totally true. It's a little held secret. Oh yeah, oof. I spent probably the best part of 6th grade year of my life learning how to juggle
That's
and
amazing.
practicing hours a day.
I love that.
Yeah.
So imposter syndrome. What else? It's your word, and we've kind of
No,
monopolized the talk.
No, I think that's perfect. I didn't really have anything. I just wanted to hear what you guys say, because and it was perfect because we talk about the Dunning-Kruger effect. I'm going to go ahead and call it out.
Yep. Yeah.
When we're surrounded, because a lot of people, like those that don't haven't had the trials and tribulations of actual life, they've kind of been born with a silver spoon, as they say.
Yeah.
If you were to talk to them, they would tell you that they have taken risks and that they have gone through things.
Oh,
it's just their frame of reference inside the cocoon, to use your word, is completely different. Yeah. Right. So the smallest little things to them seem like a giant risk. We would think that they're smaller.
They took
things.
chemistry and calculus at the same time, and everybody said that was just crazy to have two classes that required so much studying. But I did it. I did it anyway. I took 15 credits instead of 12. They said it couldn't be done.
So I'll give you one risk reference. Speaking of risk. So I remember sitting in front of like a banker and lawyer and stuff when we were putting our business together back 15 years ago. And he says, okay, the elevator pitch, basically, what are you looking to do? I said, okay, I would like to borrow $2.5 million and loan it out to people that have never paid a bill in their lives. He went, that seems high risk. I said, it is, but we shouldn't focus on the risk. Let's go to the reward side.
Yeah.
I'm a reward guy.
Yeah.
So let's go there. Sitting with like the financial dudes this year, the second half of this year is all new to me. And they're like, let's talk about your risk tolerance. I said, let's not do that. No. Where's the big reward?
Right.
Like how can I make the most money?
Yeah.
Well, that's over here. So let's do more of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's worked out good because it's been a good 6 months.
Yep.
I mean, but you know, guess what's coming?
Yeah, the cliff.
I mean, at some point.
The cliff is.
At some point,
I've been saying the cliff has been coming for 2 years.
You've been sending me that text once a week.
I know. I'm like,
the investments did pretty good this week. He sends me the cliff, Jim. I'm like, okay, dude, how about, just a smiley face?
Housing market, stock market, they're all at the verge of a cliff, and then they just keep raising. And I'm like, all right, but it's going to happen.
All right, so good. That's risk, and that's imposter syndrome. Okay. You can go next. You have the honor.
Man,
pick your word.
You guys, I don't know.
No, I'll go next. I'll go
good.
Next.
Keep going.
Yeah, because this is good setup for the show.
Go.
When I give this word, you guys are already going to guess what my third word is.
All right.
But this next word is ministry.
Freedom.
Can we edit that out?
I don't vote to edit it out.
Guess it's staying.
Bruce, do you vote to edit yourself out?
He wanted to edit you out.
Oh,
correct.
Why?
You just said you gave it away.
He said if we're going to guess. I thought it was a thing. He said, when I say my second word, you're going to guess my third word. I thought it was an instruction.
It's not an instruction.
Was that an instruction?
I mean, I understand how you take
it
as instruction.
Man.
You've never, ever in my entire life ever done anything that I've asked or said to you.
Trying to start. I was right then. So did you know his third word already?
Yes.
So
because I inferred that's what it was going to be.
All out.
Ministry.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to know what I think about ministry?
Yeah, I absolutely do, because since it's in the name of the show.
Yeah.
We've touched on it a little bit, but I'd like to do a deep dive in what that means to you.
I'm going to hope I get this right, because I've heard this a couple times. It's just been a long time. From a Christian perspective, we all have a mission and a ministry. Our ministry is the encouragement, instruction, and fellowship with people that are more of our like worldview. And our mission is to take all of those things to people that don't have that worldview. So the mission field, as you've heard in like churches, is going to remote places where they've never heard of Jesus. That's the mission field. But a ministry, like a minister is talking to his congregation, so to speak. That's what I've been told the difference between those two words is. Now, from the perspective of the show, because obviously the show is called Ministry of Freedom, that would infer that the whole goal here is to talk to people that already line up with everything we're about. And I don't want to do that. So I guess Mission of Freedom, is it too late to get that going?
It may be.
Because the shirts are already made.
All right.
That was the deciding factor.
All right.
So, but ministries, I just think it's a way for us to use our resources, whatever those are. So talents, gifts, finances, time, relationships, whatever they might be, use those resources for the betterment of mankind, I guess, for the kind of cheese ball definition, for other people, to use what we have for other people. Our ministry has to be that. And we all have a ministry. Everybody does. Most people don't use it.
Right.
And why? Maybe a little imposter syndrome. Well, who am I?
Yeah.
My voice isn't big enough. I don't have this. I don't have a microphone to talk into, but you have friends, you have relatives. Everybody has a ministry, and I just don't think we use it enough.
It's so funny you say that. I was thinking this morning, well, first off, that you touched on other subjects that I have stored also, but this morning when I'm coming, I stop at the gas station at Casey's. There's a guy in overalls, and he's sitting in a chair, and he's like leaned back, and he's holding court, right? Like there's 3 or 4 people around him, and they're standing, and they're all talking to him, and he's just like, like he's the leader.
Yeah.
And they're talking about, so one of the guys is telling him how he tells car warranty people when they call that he has I'd love to get an extended warranty. I've got a 1972 Chevy. And they're all like, I've also got a 65. And the guy holding court is like, next. Like,
yep.
Not funny. Next.
The alpha guy at Casey's.
Right.
Yeah.
And this guy would probably not be the alpha guy when he goes to work, or like just from looking at him, I'm like, this is not a leader, but he's a leader of these guys.
That's one of my words.
There you go.
Leadership.
Oh.
But so why? Let's break it down.
Why is he the leader of those guys?
Why isn't he? At first glance, you tell me what about this man makes you think he lacks leadership skills. So the first thing is his physicality.
I agree, physicality.
Yes or no?
What he's wearing, yeah. Unfortunately, and I'm a poor dresser from the get.
So he's in overalls.
Yep.
Okay. What if he was?
If he would have been wearing a suit and
how old a guy?
He was probably 50, and
So he's our age.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, old.
Yeah. Boomers.
Yeah. Thinking of myself as being 55, I guess I'm gonna have to say he's like 78. Because
I hope the dude,
my mental thing is he's old, and then you make me put an age on him, and he's 50.
He's younger than you.
Yeah.
So
how did this happen?
I know, man. I hope the dude that left the comment calling us boomers after like episode 2, I hope that cat still listens.
Right. If you do still listen, make a comment. Say something
say hi,
stupid about
boomers.
hi boomers.
That bent us.
I'm
like, what? We're not 70.
Right.
We're almost millennials.
This guy's the leader of Casey's Saturday morning coffee clatch.
Yeah.
And they're gathered
What's the word?
around.
Clatch?
Yeah, I don't know. Is that a word?
Can you look that up?
Clatch?
Yeah, let's see. Let's call him out. I can't let just made up sounds go. You can't just make
coffee.
up.
Type in coffee with it.
No, just
coffee
clatch.
Coffee clatch. Coffee. I don't know.
It's a mess. It's Scottish.
Of a sluttish,
dude, it says sluttish up there. What? What kind of dude was this?
I don't know.
So apparently in Scotland,
I don't know.
You found him to be promiscuous?
I did. As a mud. Well, coffee.
Okay, ministry. Let's get back to ministry. What do you have to add to ministry?
I really don't have much to add to in ministry. But I do think that the intent of the play on the word, because a ministry is also a group, right? A grouping or a tribe or whatever words you want to use, a community. I thought so. I just I think that it was a perfect word to select, knowing you and what you wanted to do for this.
Yeah, cool. I like it.
All right.
So let's just move on. My second word of, I know this is going to be a surprise to you
Your
and
third word.
everybody listening.
This will actually be your third word now.
It's my third word.
Yeah.
It's freedom.
Okay. I mean,
I could have guessed that.
and did.
Absolutely.
So freedom. We joke, but man, that's a deep
huge
word, man.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So freedom. To me, God-given right to live and pursue what you wish by basically any moral and ethical means necessary, as long as no one's being harmed in the process. And that's why there has to be kind of a societal agreement. And we can't just go, well, I like that guy's car, I'm going to go take it.
Right.
That's not freedom.
Yeah.
But we should have freedom to make our own choices and have people get out of the way and understand that the biggest freedom comes with risk. There is no true freedom without risk. So if you're free to go start a business, you're free to fail at that business. If you're free to go be in a relationship with somebody, that might fail. You're free to make your own choices. Freedom in this country has been largely stripped of late. Do you feel that we're free here?
I don't think that we've ever been free here. So it's just, so freedom to me is an absolute, right? So that would be anarchy from a government standpoint. I don't believe in anarchy.
Yeah, no.
One thing that I really attach myself to is, and I think I don't know if people intentionally do this, but they say the word freedoms. And so freedom to me is not singular. So it's more of a collection of freedoms, I guess, right? For a collection of the things that you just described. And each individual one, right, adds up to your personal freedom. And so for me, it's when you say that we're losing freedoms, we're losing individual things that would affect us throughout our lives. And that's because a lot of people are willing to trade that for the perception of more security.
Yeah.
Great. I was thinking that same thing. I was like, man, I wish I would have talked about, because I think of 9/11.
No.
So
we were all on board.
You bet. I mean,
we even used to make the joke, put a camera in my living room. I don't care.
I did. Because we were all about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not going to go down the conspiracy rabbit hole of 9/11. But I will say, with the benefit of 20 plus years of hindsight, if I were part of a globalist elite and I wanted to strip freedom and increase surveillance and all of those types of things, I would begin with mass fear. That has to be the starting point if you're going to game that out.
Yeah.
So we were scared. I mean, that was a weird time, right? I mean, we weren't trembling and couldn't go outside, but it was, wow, right? The other thing that happened was the amount of patriotism was super high. Now, that was pretty cool. People were flying flags, and so that was pretty cool. And people seemed nicer, and they seemed to drive better, maybe more courteous, and at the store. And it was an interesting time.
Right.
Yeah.
But hey, we've come up with this way to keep you safe. And they actually said, we're going to ask you to sacrifice some freedoms.
Yeah.
And everybody, well, not everybody, but our sphere, we were like, yeah. And Bruce is right. We used to joke, here, tap my phone.
Yeah.
I got nothing to hide. I just don't want to get blown up.
Yeah,
I got nothing to hide. Put a camera in my
house.
house.
I would never on board with that.
And
Because I obviously thought I was a little shady. So I'm like,
right.
I don't need the government.
And that tells you how far,
Yeah,
that's
to
how
me.
far that my ideologies have changed, because I'm not quite on board with that.
So what
at this
is,
point.
as far as your freedoms that you feel that the government is intervening, what is it that you would like to do? And using the basics of what you laid out about basically society and not infringing on other people's rights, what is it that you would like to do that you feel you're unable to do?
a lot of what I would talk about freedoms personally have to do with taxation.
Okay, I agree with that.
And I don't know if they're tied together, but to me, they are.
Absolutely.
So if I've spent years, decades building businesses, and I've paid tax on every dollar that I've earned, a high percentage of it, right? And then I sell off those businesses, and I've grown those businesses to the point where there's a profit there, so my stock's worth more. They want 50% of that.
Yeah, it's not fair.
That's not freedom.
And the problem that you have is most of the public would say that it is fair. Oh, you don't need that much.
Right.
But like we talked about before, everybody's level of that.
Yeah.
People that are homeless see somebody with a, $100,000 house. That's not a huge house these days. They're like, well, he doesn't need all that. He's got 2 cars and a 2-car garage, and I got nothing. But the people in the $100,000 house look at the guy in the $500,000 house, and that's too much. And everybody's jealous, and that's one thing I'm not. And we've talked about that before. Yeah. I'm like, go get them. I don't care if you make $50 billion a year. I don't think that's too much. If you came up with a way to do that, great work.
Let's get back to what do I think things I can't do. I can go purchase firearms. Okay. So I've obviously moved last year, right? The divorce and everything. And I moved, and I've said this on the show, 4 minutes away. Now, this is going to sound whiny, but it's an interesting talk. It's a good point about freedom. Here's what I mean. I used to be able to, when I lived in my old house, walk into a gun store, buy a gun, and in 20 minutes later, walk out with it.
Yeah.
But now, since I've moved 4 minutes away, I will have to do all the paperwork, pay for it and everything, and they hold on to it, and I have to take paperwork downtown and register it and do X, Y, and Z, and then go back to the place and pick up my firearm because I'm in the city limits and this other place wasn't yet annexed. And I'm like, and that's whiny, but it's interesting to me. And the fact that you can't have a firearm because of some BS freaking white collar nonsense that is a whole nother conversation. Now, that's not something I can't do.
No, I can't.
That is a problem.
Yep.
People that can't vote because of certain issue, that is a problem.
Yep.
There's also the talk about freedom where you watch people infringing purposefully on our safety. Here's what I mean. Millions of people are flooding into our country. Unchecked, no nothing. Here you go. They have freedoms that they shouldn't have. So that's another talk about freedom. We should have borders here that allows us to operate as free Americans. That's not necessarily anything I can't go do.
Yeah.
Now, when you pose that question, that's an interesting question because I really, this is a blessing. I can't think of a lot of things I can't go do that I want to do.
Right.
But I do know that due to government overreach, there's a lot of red tape and there's some financial things that need to be considered. We don't operate as free people, and largely it's because of the extortion from the tax system.
Right. What's weird to me is the same people that would argue that people coming across the border unchecked is fine. There are those people, we know some, there are people that argue that that's fine. They're seeking a better life, and America is screwed with their economy or their country, and so they're running for their lives. They don't have a problem with that. Like, okay, they can just come in. But me, as a felon that we've talked about, I can't go into Canada. Nobody has a problem with that. Like the same people that think that anybody can come into our country illegally, when I say I'm not allowed to cross the Canadian border, well, they have rules. Mm-hmm. Nobody cares about that. Yeah. My dad bought a place in Mexico. If he goes to Mexico for 6 months, he has to leave. He can't have his vehicle in the country more than 6 months. Otherwise, he's not visiting. He's living there. Yeah. And they will arrest him. They'll confiscate his vehicle. Nobody cares.
Right.
That's fine that Americans in Mexico for 6 months and the Mexican government takes their vehicle and arrests them. And everybody in America is like, well, that's fine. How can you say it's okay that these people can come in here, with unchecked. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't have immigration. Of course we should.
Yes.
I'm all for immigration.
Me too.
I'm all for legal immigration.
Yeah.
My son-in-law is from England, and the hoops he went through to be able to work in the U.S. and is crazy. He came on a student visa, and then to transfer that student visa to be able to work, he had to go through all kinds of stuff and spend all kinds of money and put up a bond and all this. It was crazy, but he should have just strolled across the southern border, I guess. And now in California, I don't know if you've noticed that they passed yesterday that everybody gets health care in California.
Yeah.
Everybody. It doesn't matter how you got there. You're now eligible. It's insane. And when California goes broke, they'll want the government to give them money. And
when we talk about freedom in regards to the title of the show, that was kind of a Christian perspective I wanted to put out there too. So ministry is a Christian kind of word, but so is freedom in the respect of, for me personally, and I don't Bible beat people, but I want people to know my faith. I didn't feel free until I became a Christian dude. And it's because I've had a lot of, like we talked, weeks back with Marco for a couple of shows and talked about the difference between sobriety and freedom. So to me, freedom, true freedom, personally, has only been achieved living under the umbrella of the authority of Christ. So I almost feel that there's nothing that anybody can do to me of any real consequence. And I haven't felt that feeling apart from my faith, because part of the Christian faith is, and we've touched on this, is I don't really walk around fearing death. Because we should believe, or not, I don't want to say we should believe. I choose to believe, and I think Christ-following people believe that there's a better afterlife than there is a life down here. So I'm not out seeking death, but I'm certainly not afraid of it anymore. The scriptures tell us that Jesus overcame that at the cross. So he's already won that battle over death. So I'm not afraid of death. So I don't walk around in a lot of fear of what people are going to do to me. I have found that being very free.
no,
With alcohol and drugs and things, there's no freedom in that. So addiction is the exact opposite of living a free life.
you know what's weird is that everybody calls it an escape, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
why are you smoking weed or why are you drinking? I just need an escape. I'm bored.
Yeah.
This makes me happy.
Yeah. I do make the joke a lot too, because we talked about this on prior shows when people would ask me, so you can't drink? And then I make the joke. I said, oh yeah, I can do anything I want.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, and this is going to sound arrogant, and that's probably why I didn't answer your question the way I wanted to at first. So I'm going to give you the right answer now. The answer is I can do whatever I want to do.
Right.
Okay. That's
you could
the
go
answer.
outside and take a drink out of that whiskey bar right now if you
Absolutely.
chose to.
Yeah. And we talked about carjacking the guy's car.
Yeah. You could do that if you
I
wanted
can
to.
go down to the neighbor's house. He's got a pretty nice car that I've been eyeballing.
Yeah.
I can go take his car.
Right.
But you also have the freedom to not do those things.
Boom.
Yeah.
That's it. And what's better for my life?
Right.
Right? Now, my heart is also, I don't want to hurt that guy's life and take his car, and I don't want to go to prison. And so these are choices, though. So we can do anything we want. And based upon our demographic, you ask why people don't care that you can't go to Canada, look in the mirror.
Right.
That's why they don't care, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, you're a middle-aged, maybe a smidge past. I don't know that you're going to be 115.
I don't either.
But
Probably not.
so you're a slightly past middle-aged boomer.
Yep.
You're a white guy,
Yeah.
male person,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I'm Satan incarnate.
With some
Yeah,
semblance
for sure.
of wealth.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't care about you.
they
They
don't
don't
wanna
want
hear me
to
whine.
hear you can't,
Yeah.
and no one wants to hear me whine either. So I won't
No.
whine. I can do anything I want.
Right.
And is there some, well, you have privilege about this and that? Maybe.
Oh, and I guarantee you I can break into Canada.
Yeah.
I can't go through the gate, but I
Right.
can get to Canada.
Yeah. It's
can't
weird. I
stop
just
me.
mentioned Shameless earlier. So I'm way late and just am on Shameless now at this stage in my
yeah,
life. And
yeah.
it's a lot, man.
Yeah, it's really good.
But they're just now breaking into Canada. He's taking people into Canada. So how weird that would come up. But yeah, so we can do anything we want. And I think the idea is from the show title, I want to empower and encourage other people to have those freedoms. Now, we talk about physicality. Personal excellence. You don't have the maximum amount of freedom you can have if you're not operating in personal excellence. The 400-pound person doesn't have the freedom I have.
Right.
In what way? They can do anything. No, they can't.
No.
They have to plug into the CPAP machine to get a few hours of sleep, and they can't walk up the stairs, and they need to. So personal excellence is tied into freedom. And that's why it's in the show title. We want to show people how to have more freedom in their lives. And it's a ministry that we've made to try to do that.
So what's crazy is everything we talked about, the notes that I made of my points have all pretty much been touched on. I mean,
So we all took your answers is what your answer's going to be.
Well, I have pre-written notes with timestamps on them, guys. So I'm willing to. But one of the
quit
things.
school as a freshman.
I forgot. Yeah. Because what you were going to go be a foreman of some kind?
Yeah, right. Yes. I could be the foreman of the concrete foreman of Peter Gewitt.
I'm not even sure what your real name is.
Nobody knows.
I've had that talk with you. Like, what's his middle name? I said, I don't know his name, dude. Just move
Michael
on.
Lynn.
I know that's one of them.
That's right.
Let's move on.
All right. So one of the notes I wrote was life is about perspective. Try to think about other points of view that you have, because you currently surround yourself with your people that are like-minded with you, that have the same point of view as you, and you can't even imagine what the other side's perspective might be. And I wanted to quote a little Fiona Apple.
Go.
What would an angel say the devil wants to know? And dude, I used to think, like, I had friends that, because everything, all my perspective was this. And it used to always be skewed like to the crazy perspective. Like, oh, somebody said, well, we need to kill that guy. We need to find him. We got to show people that you can't do this and get away with it. We have to make an example of this person. And then I had friends, acquaintances who I knew were like, that wouldn't be their answer. So I'd call them and be like, hey man, what do we do about this? What? Oh yeah. Call the police? Man, we don't call the police. Really? Like, but when you're in this, whatever set you're in, it doesn't matter if you're a Republican, you're a Democrat, you're a politician, whatever. You're surrounding yourself with people that think the same thing as you, and they're telling you, yeah, Trump shouldn't be allowed on the ballots because of January 6th. And look, I don't like Trump. I throw that out there. The guy's an idiot. But everybody's like, yeah, we got to find a way, no matter what we do, to get rid of him. Whereas other people are like, no, freedom, you let him, you let him be on the ballot and let the people choose. But no matter whether you're negotiating a business deal, negotiating with your wife, whatever, you have to think about the other party's perspective. And sometimes it's hard for us to think about what the other side, what their goals are, and what are they trying to achieve. And we just have to imagine that. And if you can't imagine what the other side of somebody you have an argument with, a disagreement, or just trying to understand that person, reach out to somebody that maybe thinks a little bit different than you do.
Yeah, that's a good word. And I think it's relevant in politics, but not as much as it used to be. There used to be people that loved America, that had opposing views, and they were thoughtful, and they just had different ideologies. And maybe one was more for maybe a larger government, and some was for a smaller government, and some social issues. You can talk about abortion. You can talk about, so those are all relevant conversations to have, and different perspectives are important because that's how we get brighter. That's how we get more mature. That's how our impact and influence grows. Empathy is a big deal. We need to understand, why do they have these thoughts, and what can they teach me? We've shifted that, though, in this country.
Everything's polarized now.
Part of me has a hard time wanting to understand the perspective of people that I believe want to harm the country. And I believe that, and this isn't a Democrat thing, because I think moderate Democrats are very reasonable people. Mm-hmm. And I'm not some crazy right-wing whack job. I'm more about freedom.
Yeah.
But there are people that want to harm our country. And I'm not interested in that perspective. And there are evil doers that are in the world and certainly in our country. And I think trying to take, I'll give you a couple examples. I don't see the perspective of, with everything we know about what happened at January 6th, and I wasn't there, and they shouldn't have been in there doing some of that stuff, but there's enough video evidence out there that it wasn't as nefarious and dangerous at times as they've made it out to be.
Largely peaceful.
Yes, it was.
There were some wackos there.
Yes.
But largely peaceful.
There are people doing 15 plus years in federal prison for being there.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
That's a huge problem.
That's evil. There are the people that want to take Trump, regardless of what your opinion of Trump is, when they want to take Trump off the ballot,
right,
that's attacking freedom. That's not okay.
No, it's definitely not okay.
It's a direct attack on freedom.
And they're not even veiling them anymore.
No.
So I'm not interested in that perspective. I would have a hard time sitting across from whoever in Maine or wherever that happened and being like, tell us your perspective. Why is Mr. Trump bad? Because that perspective doesn't line up with what our country's about.
Yeah.
Do you realize who the last person running for presidency that states started removing from the ballots?
I know this.
I do not.
Abraham Lincoln.
Yep. You know what happened?
Civil War.
Yeah.
Now,
crazy.
That's an interesting topic to bring up.
Yeah.
Let me also say,
I just read on the way here today,
is what
by
it
the way,
is.
a lady in Louisiana filed to have him removed from the Louisiana ballot. Just this new news.
oh,
this morning.
no kidding.
Yeah.
So do you think that they even have that perception themselves?
No.
That they're doing this, or
I
to
think
make that correlation?
No, here's what I
Or
think.
do you? It's not intentional.
Go ahead, Mike.
I think that they, in their mind, believe that the people they're surrounding themselves with are talking about this. And the article I saw this morning was from that perspective for the lady that's filed this in Louisiana. And breaking, a patriotic Louisiana woman files a formal request to disqualify Donald Trump from the primary ballot in her state since he should be barred from holding political office as an insurrectionist under the 14th Amendment. This is great news. So this is posted from somebody who's worshiping this lady. And so she is obviously feeding off that. So I went to her Facebook page before I came in here this morning, and she's posting where Jon Stewart mentioned her name and a couple other.
Okay, that answers your question, not to cut you off. Okay.
Yeah.
That's why they do these things. Okay. You said that her perspective was under the 14th Amendment, he's an insurrectionist. Okay. I could be butchering all of this, but my understanding of the code is there's an actual crime for insurrection.
Yep.
I don't believe through
He's been
everything that
convicted,
I'll back you up. I'm not even sure he's been charged with insurrection. He's been charged with a billion things.
Else, yeah.
He may have been, and I'll misspeak today and in most shows, but I know certainly he hasn't been convicted of anything,
right.
And that's not enough to remove somebody from the ballot.
Yeah.
But you're right; they're doing it for fame. They're doing it for
she's a
monetary gain, largely.
She's now holding court.
Yep.
She's sitting
She's the
somewhere.
dude at Casey's.
She's now at her little coffee clutch.
Yeah,
Is it a coffee clutch?
It's not, but we're going to go with it. She's at her coffee clutch. Now, I want to open a coffee shop, right?
Yeah.
There's the name.
She's at the head table.
The Clutch.
Coffee clutch.
No, dude.
They
The
didn't
Clutch.
even indict him on supporting being responsible for the violence his supporters committed at the Capitol.
He hasn't been even brought up on charges and accused of this.
Yeah, this is from the New York Times. So it says there was something noticeably absent when the special counsel, Jack Smith, unsealed an indictment this week charging former President Donald J. Trump with multiple conspiracies to overturn the 2020 election. Any court that directly accused Trump of being responsible for the violence his supporters committed at the Capitol on January 6th. 2021.
Yeah. So perspective is how we got on this.
Yep.
I am trying to be more open about a lot of things at this stage of my life, especially through the show. I want to have different perspectives and I want to learn and I want to get better and I'm interested in improving myself. I'm not interested in their perspective. They have declared war on our country and our way of life. And you talk about now the Civil War had a lot of other issues and things, of course, because slavery was a problem.
Yeah.
But him wanting to abolish slavery
is why they wanted him off the ballot.
Yep.
So so the Civil War was only about slavery. That is ignorance.
So it could be argued that Trump doesn't have the morally reprehensible thing that he's trying to overturn.
But in history, he may end up being on the right side, not obviously of something like that, but just as far as the fact that he's being politically persecuted, there's no doubt that every charge that's being laid on him is a political persecution to get him off the ballot. That people on the left have decided that he is a danger to America. They believe that. They believe that.
And I've been told it's because he's a narcissist.
Yeah.
It's because of personal traits.
Right. But they believe that if he's elected again, he will destroy America. Then they say it and they believe it. I don't know what it is that he did during his first presidency. What would the other side say? I don't know.
I'll give you a perspective. Let's back up to perspective.
From his first term was what I'm asking.
I understand.
Did he do something so bad?
That's what I'm going to go back to. So obviously, Election Day is Tuesday in November. On Wednesday or Thursday, the next day I was at work after the 2016 election. I walked in to 2 or 3 of the ladies in my office sitting in the break area, bawling. Not, just bawling. And I walk in, I'm like, dang, obviously something horrible, has happened. One of the gals in particular, who's bawling at the time, says the worst thing that ever happened is Trump is going to be our president, and he's going to, she believed, ultimately arrest or kill gay people.
No.
That was her perspective. She was emotionally distraught. I said, What leads you to think? I said, do you believe that people are going to go door to door and round up the gays? And I was being facetious because that was pissing me off sitting there watching that. Mm-hmm. And I remember a few years after that, because this young lady started making a little more money, started not seeing she's keeping much of that money, and started maturing a little bit. And I remember saying, hey, how about rounding up and killing the gays? That really never came to fruition, did it? And your life, and because she has a lot of gay friends, are any of your lives better off in the last few years than they were? Well, yeah. Okay. That's the job of the president.
Yeah.
Help us have freedoms and help us protect our safety and freedoms so we can operate in that and build our wealth and live our lives and pursue the American dream, whatever that looks like for you. But the perception is that he's anti-woman. Okay, he's done some despicable things and said some despicable things, right? Yeah. Especially towards women. Yeah. So misogynistic, is he?
Yeah.
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 I mean, okay.
Narcissistic, absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah.
Right? All right.
But what politician isn't?
Okay, let's not even talk about politicians. Yeah. How about powerful men?
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of CEOs, and I don't know names, I don't know these people, but are we going to be like, you know what? This guy gave us 24% return on investment. You say we're stockholders in company X, and we're really happy with that performance, right? But we found out that this guy is on tape and he said an off-color joke about a woman, or he had an extramarital affair, and then he's got to instantly be fired, or, I mean, then there's going to be no CEOs.
I assure you there are powerful women. There are CEOs of companies that are women who have patted a good-looking dude on the ass when you walk by, and that's not a crime, obviously. I mean, that's okay. But back to,
I don't know that there are powerful.
Yeah.
I'm not. So
it's happened.
Your perspective is
that there's a powerful
2023
patted a male on the butt and got away with it. Absolutely.
I don't think there is.
Oh, yeah.
In Hollywood, guaranteed.
Everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
If there's a woman in authority, she's had some abuse of power. It's human nature. It doesn't have to do with being a man or a female. If you have power, soon most people are going to take some liberties because they start feeling their oats. So back to,
could be right.
Do either one of you know of something, though, that that people that think that we have to stop Trump no matter what we do. We can't allow him on the ballot. We can't allow him to be president because he will destroy the nation. Is there something he did during his first term that they use as a look at what he did here, and now if we expand upon this, if he has another term, he will really then X? What is it?
The biggest argument I've heard was the fact that he has yet to concede the 2020 election. He never said that he lost.
So he doesn't like losing. Yep. And he doesn't accept losing.
Yep.
So
if
this was a football game, he may actually be throwing his helmet, yelling, "Come on, this is a bunch of BS."
Yep. So, that's actually, so they think, so the people that I've talked to, they are 100% convinced that because of that and everything that's gone on, that if he gets elected, he's going to be in full retaliation mode, and he's going to use the control of the military to become a dictator and to stop all of elections.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's just, that's a big reach.
The craziest thing about that is that in order to fight that,
they want to do
they're
exactly
doing
that.
It's such a projection. Because I think this is my opinion. The reason why the people hate Trump so much is that they see all of the bad traits that they have inside in their inner voices being on full display, and it makes them think about themselves. It makes them feel better about themselves that they can attach their identity to hating him.
I think, again, we're giving him way too much credit, those people. They don't want him in office because they're crooks, and they are going to be found out, and they're going to be exposed, and they're going to be incarcerated.
And after what they've done to him, after he won the first time, he didn't go after his political opponents. Yeah. He didn't go after Hillary or whoever. He didn't try to have them. Yeah, they didn't try to have him arrested. And now they've done it to him, and they're scared to death if he gets in that he will now vendetta up. They're trying to arrest all of the old school.
He's against the establishment that all the progressives, socialists, the people that want to take down our country. Now, I say they want to take down our country. I don't even know if that's true, but they want to alter it so much that it's unrecognizable.
Right.
So I don't think they're out to destroy the United States of America, but they're out to destroy the United States of America and our way of life.
Else. Yeah, exactly.
They don't want it to be a capitalistic economy. They want socialism, communism. That, I think, is what's at jeopardy. That's what they know Trump isn't going to allow to have happen. And I think it will impact their wealth. I think it'll impact their legacy. He's against the media establishment.
Yeah.
So I just don't see them allowing him to run. And that's going to be where the rubber meets the road.
All right. I'm ready to attach a word to one of my...
Okay,
I've got my subject. Now I'm ready to just attach a word. So success, that would be the word that I'm going to attach to the statement that I had.
Okay.
And success to me, I just want to make sure everybody, it isn't about money, right? You can want to be the best parent and raise the best kids in the world. And if you do that, you're being successful, right? If you're being a great parent, doesn't matter what, but yeah, if you want to be rich, if you want to be famous, if you want to, whatever, then that's whatever you choose as your success, you have to work at it. So that's the word. The statement that I have is, if you're not getting what you want in life, it's because what you want isn't your priority or you're lazy. Which is it?
So first thing is success. Success, I don't see any way it's not attached with money. I just don't. So I can be wrong, but I'm giving you, again, my opinion and perspective. You can be the best parent in the world. And if that's your only focus, that's great. If you have that heart and you have a heart to want to build wealth, aren't you going to be a better parent when part of parenting is actually providing the best things for the kid? I'm not saying that your 12-year-old daughter needs to have a $3,000 handbag. That's not the conversation, but some semblance of stability.
No, I think you can actually be people that live off the land that don't care about money at all and be successful. I believe you can go out and buy 40 acres and live on a farm and be successful without any money.
Okay.
And I believe that you can raise a child if that's your goal. But my point is...
So success is just you attaining what your goals are.
Every person's goals just can be different.
Yep.
And my point is enough people aren't doing that, and it's because they're lazy or they're not focused. And which is it?
Do they have
Pick.
the information and the tools to get it done? That's the first thing we need to establish.
So I started going through, like, think about, what did you want to be when you were a kid? Is there something that you wanted to be when you were young that you can't be today?
Is there something I wanted to be as a kid that I couldn't be today? Football player.
Okay. You?
Musician.
Okay.
But
What?
you are that.
I know. But
So like you want to be a famous musician? A paid famous musician.
I didn't really care about fame. I actually hated it.
So you want to be a paid musician.
Yeah.
So
Well, I
let me
have
tell
buddies
you,
who
so let me
are-
relate this to you.
Yeah.
The reason you're not is because you're not focused enough on it or you're lazy. Which is it?
Well,
Boy, that's a tough one, dude.
yeah.
So
There's
I got a good one for you. Just go.
right, because there's also outside. I mean, it's not like a light switch, because when there's things like that. No, you're right. Since I said I didn't want to be massively successful worldwide, I just wanted to be a paid musician. It's not the priority.
it's not the
I
priority.
would
You're not
say-
focused on it. Correct.
Right,
It's not
because
your
my priority
'cause you
is
have other
providing for
priorities.
my family, and I don't want to bridge that gap between
Here's what I
not
wrote.
making into a.
I want to say this to you. Here's what I wrote down as soon as I heard that. It's the timing. The reason is it's one word with you. It's timing. So 25 years ago, you didn't have the focus and
Yes.
stick-to-itiveness, wherewithal, discipline. You had talent, but you didn't have, and you thought you were
Or
giving
resources.
it everything, or
Right.
resources.
And
But
that's what we're
your
saying about perspective.
Your capacity at that point,
Right.
you felt you were giving it all, but you were also giving it
In
all
hindsight.
with smoking a lot of dope,
Yep.
drinking,
Hanging out with your buddies.
and hanging out with your buddies,
Right.
right?
Oh yeah. Staying out till 4.
Yeah.
You are,
You weren't focused at that point.
to me, and I'm way biased here. This dude is as talented a musician as any I've ever heard anywhere. He's as good. He's a 1%er of musicians to me.
Yeah.
Hopefully maybe I'm wrong. That's what I believe about him. He has the imposter syndrome maybe, or he's too humble. And
Absolutely.
but that's how good he is and was. Right now, it's not his priority. He's got a wonderful family and career and all these kinds of things. So you say, what is it? You were lazy, or what was your other one?
You're not focused.
You're not
it's not your
focused.
priority.
Right. So it isn't your, that's why. Now, back then, I will make the argument that it wasn't your priority either.
Right.
If it was your priority, because you know what? You personally know people who are from our area who are super successful musicians commercially.
Absolutely.
It was their focus.
100%.
And they were dialed into that degree. And
The other thing that really was, to me, separated their abilities with mine is not only were they focused, but they understood how to build a team and support that team through the bad and elevate themselves above the bad.
It's part of the focus, though. They were all
Right.
sitting around planning that, not just sitting around, how are we getting another bag of dope?
Right.
They were planning, how do we get to the next level and who do we need to help us do that?
Not how do I beat this level on whatever game.
Yeah. Nintendo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Right.
Yeah. They fed off of each other's focus.
And so when I was making my list, I'm thinking, okay, what I wanted to be growing up was an astronaut or a fighter jet pilot. And so then I immediately start thinking, well, you have to be, this old, and I'm too old, and I'm too fat, and I'm too whatever. But honestly, Bezos could do either one of them. Elon Musk could do either one of them. So it's not too late. Like, what, right? I mean, if I had that kind of money, I could go into space. Elon Musk, Joe Biden could get in a fighter jet tomorrow. So not only money, but power. If you had enough money or power, you could be an astronaut or a fighter jet pilot still at our age. And football player, you think that the owner of the Chiefs couldn't play a couple downs if he wanted to? Of course he could. Might not end well.
right. Yeah.
But that little hunt girl could be on the cheerleading sidelines tomorrow if she wanted to be.
Correct.
Yeah, the owner wants to take a snap.
Yeah.
He's going to get killed. The line better defend him.
I would say that I'm a testimony to what a ridiculous amount of focus can get you in a relatively small amount of time. Because in a matter of, well, this isn't going to sound like a small amount of time, but let's take 15 years. In 15 years, I went from having a underwater net worth, meaning when I had to do my first financial statement, when they were considering having me be a partner, you do your assets and your liabilities, mine had brackets around it.
Right.
So that's not great. I had come to find out. And in a matter of about 4 years, because I always wanted to be a millionaire.
Yeah.
I don't even know why. It's just something people said, and with inflation and everything else, it's actually not that big a deal.
Yep.
1 or 2 or 3, that's not that much money. But that was a big deal to me from where I came from, and we didn't have a lot and everything. And I always wanted to be that. I don't even know why, but I wanted to be that. So I had a ridiculous amount of focus of getting to that. And then that took 4 years or so from going underwater to that. That's a pretty good amount of focus and not that much time.
Right.
To be able to get that. And that felt pretty good. And then that went exponentially higher in the next 11 years. But the amount of focus that took was, it's probably unhealthy. It was everything I was about. You weren't around as much. You were. You watched it.
Yeah.
Now, the last year and a half, I had built a pretty solid team, and I was going home at 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock. I wasn't sitting there till 8 o'clock at night, but that was the last year and a half.
Yeah. After you served 15 years.
Yeah. But to get to there, man, it was everything I was about. And it really hurt relationships. It was,
for sure.
It was my absolute everything.
It was where you
but that's what I wanted to get done. That's what success looked like for me. And I figured out how to do that.
It's like we talked before. Yeah. I knew where to find you on Christmas Eve. You're at work in the morning. I could stop in there and maybe you leave at noon. Hey, can we leave on Christmas Eve for lunch?
Yeah.
Yeah. I get out here at noon. And that was true. We did that one year. You're like, I haven't shopped yet either because I had to work exactly. Late. So I need to.
When you talk about age though, we're at this age and, is it too late and stuff? This is the beginning. We should be thinking to ourselves, what's the reinvention look like? Right. This shouldn't be the tail end of who we have been. This should be the opening parentheses of who we're going to become.
Right.
That's what this stage of life is for me. I want to be unrecognizable to people in a matter of a few years without plastic surgery.
Right.
So that's what this season is for me. And I want to say that again. This isn't like, well, let's just fill in the gaps here and put the closing parentheses on and I'm going to retire and my kids are off. We should be approaching life in our early to mid 50s as this is the new beginning. Yeah. I've put this new parentheses and let's be unrecognizable. Part of unrecognizable is, and I'm a broken record, I'm never going to stop talking about this, physicality is where this stuff has to start. We, especially as dudes our age, man, if I knew this stuff when I was 20,
yeah.
I mean, of course, some of the stuff probably wasn't around and, supplements.
And to me, I want to be in shape. I want to be like I was 3 years ago.
Yeah. Man,
I put on 40 pounds in 3 years.
See the picture of him?
Dude,
that blew my freaking mind,
crazy,
man.
Yeah. But you know
it's
what?
Not your
I'm
priority,
lazy,
dude.
and it's not my priority right now. But it needs to be. It has to do with laziness. I have the time. Like I make excuses about busy, whatever. And I was a year or so ago, I was covered up and stressed, and now I'm not. But now I have to do it. I have to make the decision to put forth the time and the effort. And so everybody has that, right? I mean, I focused for the last few years on like in 2015, I had no money. So then it's like, I need to get money again.
Yeah.
I'd been a millionaire. I've been broke. I've been negative parentheses net worth, millions of dollars on paper. And not even always in
That's where it always lives, brother.
Yeah, it's on paper. Yeah. Like, I need you to buy lunch today. You do know I'm a millionaire.
On paper.
Right. Yeah.
It's ones and zeros.
Yeah. In 2000, 2004, I was a multimillionaire. But you mind picking up this check, man? I don't have any cash.
A lot of people are running around all hat, no cattle too, brother.
I got a $3 million net worth, but I don't have $20 on me right now.
Well, this is where pretty much when we kind of need to wrap it up.
So
Okay,
we do,
let's get him. Go
but
ahead.
we got a few minutes because you got to catch a plane.
Hit it, yes.
I did write this down in my notes, and we were at lunch the other day, and he says to me, "You've been doing this for a few months now. Tell me what the show is."
Oh,
So I thought, man. So I went home and thought about that. So here's the notes I took. They're not even organized. This is what I think this show is. And I think it's important because there are going to be people this is their first show they're listening to, stumbling across it. This might be a year from when we made it. They're stumbling across hey, let's start at episode 14.
Yep.
This show is about developing personal excellence, helping us. So me, the great thing is I'm trying to do all of this stuff and have the audience come along and watch it and maybe emulate it if they think it'll improve their life. And you guys too. You're going to watch me be transformed.
Yep.
So developing personal excellence. For Scylla's thing, I'm always going to talk about it. Personal excellence is the ultimate rebellion. So that's number one. The second thing the show is about is helping others build an optimized life. What's success look like? Same. What's optimization look like for you? Right? Becoming everything our enemies don't want us to be. And we're going to do a couple shows about that because we talked about people that want to take our country down and
we all have people in our lives that want to see us fail.
Correct. So
the next book I'm going to read is Patrick Bet David's Choose Your Enemies Wisely.
More people in our lives want to see us fail than not.
And we need to figure out, okay, what do they want us to be? What do our enemies want us to be? And go through that list, write them down, and then become the opposite of it.
Yep.
That's just the art of war.
Yep.
So that's another thing the show's about. I also want to build a tribe. So I hate community, dude. That word. I don't even know why.
But it's the best word. You check the thesaurus. It's the best word.
You know I'm writing a book.
Yep.
And so yesterday I'm sitting there and I'm flowing. Yes, sometimes it's harder than others. And I'm going, right? And I found myself, I used that word twice. So then I stopped and went back and I'm kind of rereading. You do drafts and things. And
how can I get around the word community?
And I ended up having to take some sections out because I couldn't come up with a better word.
Yeah.
So, I'm not having community in this.
I'm not going to talk about this subject if community
not
has
that
to
important.
be part. Yeah.
So I want to build a tribe with a collaborative mission. And the mission is to pursue and protect freedom and save the nation from those who hate us.
And you're using the word tribe instead of community.
Yes.
Also.
Yeah. Is that inappropriate?
No, that's fine.
I don't think
probably.
so.
Probably. I'm pissing somebody off.
Yeah.
And we're going to do all of the above. It is going to be done from a Christ-centered perspective. That's the thing that's going to set this show apart. This show doesn't exist. Now, I listen to 10 podcasts. I probably regularly listen to a handful of podcasts, and they talk about personal excellence and entrepreneurism and becoming everything your enemies don't want you to be and optimization and fitness and health. They talk about that because that's what I want to learn. So I'm all about that. I have not come across one who also is going to throw some scripture at you, who's going to help break down and show you how the Bible can impact your life, whether or not you're at church every Sunday or not. So everything that we're about and a lot of other shows are about is going to come from the foundation of faith in Jesus Christ. That's what's going to make this show different. And I think it's going to be intriguing for people, and there's value in that.
I enjoy our lunches, by the way, sitting there and just
it was great.
Getting your perspective and getting you thinking. I do. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, he got me thinking. We'll talk off air.
Okay. Yeah.
No, you know what I'm going to talk to him about.
I do.
But no, it was really good. And so thank you for that challenge because, hey, it's been a few months. What's the show about?
Yeah.
What is the show? And because it's naive to think before we hit the play button, the record button on episode 1, we know exactly what the show is going to be.
Right. No, you're learning.
We still don't.
Obviously,
episode 10 or episode 14.
But
Yeah,
I
you
do
have to.
know that in my mind, where I'm at today, that's what the mission of the show is.
Right on.
And if that's attractive to people, they should tune into this.
Yep.
There's value in what we do. And that's...
They should like, subscribe, comment.
Yeah, they should do all that.
Give us reviews.
Yeah, they should do all those things.
You need reviews. 5-star reviews.
Yeah, well, all of them. Apple counts them all.
Take your 1 star. Take your 1 star.
It's weird. They just count them.
Yep.
Just got to get the count up. Now it's engagement. So you have to catch a flight.
Yeah.
And you're out of here.
Back to New Orleans, baby.
We sure appreciate you. I love having you here.
Yeah.
Love you, dude.
Yeah, the planes fly every day, so I could be back.
All right.
See ya.